Welcome to the second part of the College Football Playoffs Squad Builder Showdown. I think that's what I called it. If I didn't, that's what it's called now. Today we're looking at Ohio State against Clemson. And just in case you missed the last episode, what we're doing is comparing their NFL rosters and seeing how they square up against each other ahead of their showdown in the College Football Playoffs. So we're going to start with Ohio State, and their offensive line pretty nice, not complete. We don't have a left tackle for them, but they have some depth all over the place. So we could shove anyone to left tackle and they'd have a complete line. But in terms of actual positions, they're just short there, but they've got some nice guards. We move over to tight end, not a lot of talent there, just with Nick Vannett, the rookie, and Jeff Hoyerman. Then we move down to where Ohio State is a little bit better. Running back, obviously Ezekiel Elliott, Carlos Hyde, probably the best out of all four of these teams in terms of individual talent between those two. Then the wide receivers, Michael Thomas, Ted Ginn Jr., Terrell Pryor, and then below them Braxton Miller, Devin Smith. Cardale Jones isn't that bad, at least they have a quarterback, but they're also lacking at fullback. But as it goes, obviously it's a very complete team here on offense. It is a 74 rated offense overall, obviously not helped by a couple of positions missing, a 79 team overall, but an 84 rated defense, and they've got some good players here. The safeties have got Von Bell at free safety or Kurt Coleman, and then Malcolm Jenkins at strong safety. At linebacker, they're pretty good. Ryan Shazier, obviously a very good middle linebacker, Darren Lee. We've had to throw to outside linebacker John Simon at the other outside linebacker, and Joshua Perry as a backup. Then at cornerbacks, not great. Obviously Bradley Roby, the number one there, Eli Apple, so it's not actually a bad group. And the defensive line then is pretty impressive as well, with Cameron Hayward, Joey Bosa, and Jonathan Hankins, and below him Aldolphus Washington and Michael Bennett. And again, like the other teams, no specialists whatsoever for them. Now let's take a quick look at Clemson. So Clemson also missing an offensive lineman. They're missing a left guard, and outside of that, it's not the best line anyway. Some of these guys practice squad players. Tight end, however, I think that's the best tight end position we've seen out of all these teams with Dwayne Allen. Then we move down to where Clemson really boasts some serious firepower with DeAndre Hopkins and Sammy Watkins. I mean, that is a pairing and a half of wide receivers. Jerome Brown playing the number 3 role there. The running back position probably would have been a lot better a couple of years ago with CJ Spiller and Andre Ellington. And at quarterback, we've brought in Clipboard Jesus, Charlie Whitehurst, so another team with a quarterback. So at this point, the only team without one was Washington, and they've also got the backup Taj Boyd. But just like Ohio State, one lineman missing and a fullback missing. Now we look at Clemson's defense, and Clemson's defense is nice as well. Starting with the safeties, Marcus Gilchrist and Chris Clemens we've gone for with the safeties, but you can have TJ Green, Darren Curse, Jonathan Meeks. Okay, we have Kevin Dodd at right outside linebacker, BJ Goodson at middle linebacker, and Stephon Anthony. But then down here it looks pretty good again. We've got Vic Beasley, Grady Jarrett, and Shaq Lawson on the line. And for cornerbacks, they've got Byron Maxwell, Bashard Breeland, Mackenzie Alexander, and Cody Sensabaugh. So their team overall is 75, 71 offense, 80 defense. And we also have specialists. The only team that fields a kicker and a punter as well in Chandler Catanzaro and Bradley Pinion at punter. So congratulations to Clemson for being the only team to do that. So it's time to line the teams up side by side and see how the position groups compare. And I think last time I said kickers and punters count as individuals, but considering Clemson are the only team with kickers and punters, I'll count them as one group just not to give Clemson 2 points for what should be 1. So we'll now look at the teams side by side and compare position groups, and we start with the O-line. Neither team has a complete O-line, but Ohio State has a lot more impressive depth in the positions they do have, so the point has to go to Ohio State there. Then we look at tight end, and that one's pretty easy. Advantage has got to go to Clemson with Dwayne Allen. Moving down, we start with the wide receivers on the outside, and now both groups are very impressive, but DeAndre Hopkins and Sammy Watkins are probably a better duo than most. I said that the last time for Alabama, but you know what I mean. Running back is obviously an easy one here, even if it was last year and it was just Carlos Hyde. But then for quarterback, and I know Ohio State fans and maybe Bills fans are going to disagree with me, but we've seen literally absolutely nothing from Cardale Jones. Charlie Whitehurst is the only guy we've seen anything from in the NFL, even if it isn't overly impressive, but advantage has to go to him there because it's the only one we actually know what he plays like in the NFL. And come on, it's Clipboard Jesus, you can't not have the guy. Then onto the defense, and we start with the safeties, Von Bell and Malcolm Jenkins against Marcus Gilchrist and Chris Clemens. I would literally take Malcolm Jenkins over both Marcus Gilchrist and Chris Clemens alone because he can play free safety and strong safety. Von Bell and Kurt Coleman are just nice options there as well, so favor there has to go Ohio State. Then we go to the linebackers, and it's pretty similar in the sense of a decent left outside linebacker and not so great right outside linebacker, so it comes down to the middle linebackers. And Ryan Shazier, obviously better than BJ Goodson. Advantage Ohio State. Then we move to the cornerbacks, and now this is a difficult one. Bradley Roby and Eli Apple versus Byron Maxwell and Bashard Breeland. And I'm probably going to find plenty of opposition with this decision, but I'm going Clemson. Byron Maxwell this season has been great again. Bashard Breeland's been getting shown up a little bit at times, but you also have to look at Clemson's depth behind the first three. You got Cody Sensabaugh, who's not bad, but considering Ohio State's number one corner is actually a nickel corner, and Clemson's number one corner is actually a number one corner, we've got to give them the point. Then we look at the defensive ends, and this one is pretty easy, although Vic Beasley makes it a little bit harder, but Cameron Hayward and Joey Bosa obviously significantly better than Vic Beasley and Shaq Lawson, mainly because Shaq Lawson, as a rookie being injured, hasn't had a chance to show anything yet. Vic Beasley's been an absolute revelation this year, but Joey Bosa has been as well, and Cameron Hayward is as solid as you get. In fact, that's probably an understatement for him. How important he is to the Steelers can only be seen when he's not there. So for the defensive ends, point goes to Ohio State. And defensive tackle is very, very close. Grady Jarrett, very good for the Falcons this season. Jonathan Hankins, extremely important for the Giants this season. If we call them absolutely even, we're then comparing Adolphus Washington and Michael Bennett and DJ Reader and Brandon Thompson. And the favor there goes to better backups for Ohio State, so they take the point for defensive tackles. And then the final one, the kickers and punters. Now I think last week I did say kickers and punters would be separate. And what we'll do is we'll refer to them as both separate and the same. So right now we'll say 1 point to Clemson for actually having kickers and punters, but we'll also refer to in the final score, say what it would be if they were counted separately and see how much of a difference that makes. Specialist, the point obviously goes to Clemson, the only team with kickers and punters, and in a way you should be rewarded for having both a kicker and a punter. They are not the same position. Just because you have one in the NFL doesn't mean you'd have the other. So we go back to the top and let's just side by side compare them overall wise as well. So 79 to 75, 74 to 71 and 84 to 80. So overall wise Ohio State is better. Points-wise, Ohio State got 6 points with the O-line, the running backs, safeties, linebackers, defensive ends, and defensive tackle. Clemson got 5 points with tight end, wide receiver, quarterback, cornerback, kickers, punters. If we were to say kickers and punters separately, they'd also have 6 points, but then we'd have a draw and there'd be no point in this video. So the winner of this head-to-head in terms of their players in the NFL is Ohio State by a single point, and only because we're not counting kickers and punters separately. Otherwise, it would be a draw between the two teams. So that does it for this two-part series. Once we know which two teams will be facing off in the national championship game, there will be one more video. And don't forget to write some ridiculous scorelines in the comments that even you can't believe will happen in this game.